College football is 100 days away, and that means Michigan versus Ohio State is just 6 months away. Are both sides ready? Of course not. But let's explore a preseason checklist ahead of the game and let the trash talking begin. Locked on Big Ten starts right now.
You are Locked on Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked on Big Ten. I'm Craig Sheeman, coming up on 40 years as a sports talk show host and play-by-play announcer, and I want to thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day. We're going to talk about the game. It's only 6 months away. Plus, Beaver Stadium got an update for you. We talked about this yesterday and the $700 million expansion up there at Penn State and the renovations. Plus, we'll have our power rankings. I'll tell you what that's about. You don't want to miss that at the end of the podcast. Meanwhile, the game, Michigan and Ohio State, it is 6 months from now. And there are a lot of questions for both sides as we prepare for the 2024 college football season. Two things jump out at me as Michigan kicks off the defense of its undefeated national championship season. Michigan has undergone numerous changes and lost a ton of talent to the NFL draft. And surely there was some depth back there that we saw that was ready. They're ready to jump up and next man up, get their chance. So it's not like the cupboard is going to be empty, but how much can they rely on those guys? How much talent is going to fill in for the talent that left for the NFL? That's the question for Michigan this year. Ohio State, they lost a lot of talent to the NFL too, but they also talked a lot of guys into staying at school for one more year. The program doubled down on nil money and opportunities for borderline guys that maybe could have gone to the NFL to mid to late rounds or maybe stayed in school for one more year. This roster in Columbus is loaded. Both sides made significant changes to their coaching staffs, and obviously Michigan has a new head coach as Jim Harbaugh finally departed for the NFL, and Sharon Moore eased into that job as the head coach and, of course, has some experience there since he was the interim head coach in most of the 6 games that Harbaugh was suspended for this past season. The most significant change on the staff is that defensive coordinator. The mastermind of that awesome 2023 Michigan defense, of course, was Jesse Minter. He left with Harbaugh to go to the West Coast and is now with the Chargers with Harbaugh. Don Wink Martindale, of course, replaces him and comes to Ann Arbor from the NFL, and he likes to blitz a lot. That'll be the biggest change that you see on the field this year for Michigan football. He blitzes all the time. Blitzes. That's what he does. He's got a 3-year deal, by the way, and it pays him more than $2 million per year, which makes him one of the highest paid assistant coaches in all of college football. Biggest change to Ohio State and their staff, of course, is their offensive coordinator. Ryan Day decided to delegate the offense to someone else after a false start with Bill O'Brien, who was there for about 5 minutes before he then departed to take the Boston College head coaching job. Chip Kelly left his head coaching job at UCLA to be the coordinator there at Ohio State. So he's moving from Los Angeles to Columbus, Ohio. He'll be calling plays for the Buckeyes and he'll be managing a very crowded quarterbacks room. And his salary is also in the $2 million range. Phenomenal. Michigan and Ohio State don't fool around when it comes to coordinators and assistant coaches. Now, already, I can't wait for the chess match between on the field between Martindale and his blitz package and Kelly and his run offense and how it all mixes up together. Have to wait to the end of the season, but like I told you, it's just 6 months away. That run offense, by the way, for Ohio State will feature 2 of the finest running backs in the country with Travion Henderson, of course, who returns, and all SEC transfer Quinshon Judkins from Ole Miss. So they are set at running back. Michigan won't have Blake Corum this year, but they do have Donovan Edwards. He's ready to take over the main role at running back, and he showed the country what he can do in the national championship game against Washington. Had a couple of big breakaway runs in that game. Amazingly, though, both of these powerhouses have humongous questions at quarterback going into the season. It's kind of rare for both of them to be in the same position. Kansas State transfer Will Howard looks to be the clubhouse leader for the Buckeyes for the QB1 job. Devin Brown is pushing him just like he did Kyle McCord last year. Lincoln Keenholz is still there. Pretty promising young quarterback, but he's gotten lost in the shuffle a little bit. And there are two more guys, a five-star freshmen coming in that are competing as well. Julian Sayin, who transferred from Alabama, and Aaron Nolan, who's coming in. Julian Sayin didn't actually go to Alabama. He committed to Alabama, but then flipped. Wanted to follow Bill O'Brien, who he had a relationship from the Alabama days, to Ohio State. And as soon as he got there, O'Brien bolted. So O'Brien will have at least one legacy, Julian Sayin, in the 5 minutes that he was there at Ohio State. Now, Michigan has just as many question marks at quarterback after having the steady presence of J.J. McCarthy. Alex Orji seems to be the next man up, but I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure what kind of a passer he is. Ditto for Jaden Denigal, although Denigal is a physical specimen at 6'5", 235 pounds, a true athlete. You've got 7-year player Jack Tuttle is still playing college football. He is available with some experience, does not have anywhere near the athletic ability as the other guys. And then there was little-known senior Davis Warren. Stole the show during the spring game, so much so that I thought, hey, this should be the guy. We'll see more. He'll get more reps over summer, but he looked like he knew what he was doing. He certainly looked the part. Both sides tried to shore up the offensive lines. Northwestern transfer Josh Preeb going to Michigan, and Alabama transfer Seth McLaughlin arriving at Ohio State. Now, the defensive line, this is a strength for both teams. Michigan on the inside, Ohio State on the outside. Michigan returns future NFL players Kenneth Grant and Mason Graham right in the middle to plug up the middle. And the Buckeyes are formidable with their pass rush with JT Tuimalo and Jack Sawyer on the outsides. Both teams made headlines in their secondaries this offseason. Michigan, first of all, it wasn't good news. Safety Rod Moore, he was the hero that intercepted the Kyle McCord pass at the end of the Michigan game, or the Ohio State game, to seal that win. He tore his ACL in spring football, so that's a wrap on him. Meanwhile, the Buckeyes added Caleb Downs, a transfer from Alabama, who looks to be like he's got the whole world ahead of him here. And that adds to an already strong secondary for Ohio State. Plus, he can return punts. That's a thumbnail of what's going on. 6 months from now, I know you're hyped. I'm hyped. I'm ready to go. This is the game of the year. It's always the game of the year, but now it will have Big Ten championship implications. It will have college football playoff implications and national championship implications. It's all on the table with expanded playoffs and whatnot. Heck, they might even play each other 3 times in 3 weeks. Who knows with this new system that's out there. Nevertheless, get ready for it. And we're pretty pumped up about this game. This being the 6-month mark, 6 months from the last time they played, 6 months until the next time they play. So let the trash talking begin and get ready. I'll look for your comments on YouTube. You Michigan fans and Ohio State fans go pretty hard at it against each other on my comment section on YouTube. You can hit me there. You can also hit me up on X or Twitter at Talk Big Ten. And also on our website, talkbig1010.com, if you want to jump in on there. Always looking for that. All right. If you like what you see, if you're new, welcome aboard. Feel free to subscribe. Click the subscribe button, and that is it. No other information required, and it gets you and me together talking Big Ten forever. If you have a friend, a relative, somebody that's a Big Ten alum that would like this podcast, go ahead and tell them about it and tell them to subscribe and follow Locked On Big Ten for free wherever you get your podcast. That way you'll get the latest episode of this podcast as soon as it becomes available each and every day. The audio versions are out as early as 4 a.m. Eastern every single day. If you just listen on audio podcast, or the video on YouTube comes out at 6 a.m. Eastern time every single morning. Hey, we talked a lot about stadiums, stadium cutbacks, expansion, renovations. It's focused on Nebraska yesterday. They're going to scale back and delay their plans because of money problems. Well, money's changing. I told you about this House versus NCAA lawsuit that's going on. There was some thought that maybe Penn State would tap the brakes. One of the trustees came out and said, no, we can't afford it. Well, he was overruled. The vote came out. $700 million. Beaver Stadium's going to sparkle. Northwestern seems to be moving along. Don't forget Wisconsin's upgrading a few things over there as well. But we'll talk about the new deal at Beaver Stadium, plus some transfer portal news. Got the Big Ten tournament, baseball tournament going on as well. A lot to cover right here on Locked On Big Ten. All right, I want to tell you about eBay, passion, drive, and patience. It's a formula for winning championships. It's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. And with all the parts you need, all the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available for U.S. customers. I want to thank you for making Locked On Big Ten your first listen each and every day, especially you everydayers out there. Meanwhile, again, be sure to subscribe if you haven't yet on YouTube, and share and follow and like Locked On Big Ten, your team every day. And don't forget to check out our website where we have everything archived we've ever done, group by team or chronologically, whatever you need, right there at talkbig1010.com. Also get some swag there as well. Get yourself some shirts, some pennants, hats, stuff for your desk at work. It's all right there. talkbig1010.com. We told you yesterday that at least one Penn State trustee said that the university does not have the money to approve a $700 million renovation proposal at Beaver Stadium. Well, he was in the minority by a lot. Tuesday, the Penn State Board of Trustees voted 26-2. He must have been one of the two. 3 abstained, by the way. And they all voted to go ahead with that massive project. So it's moving forward. Those voting for the renovations believe they will later increase revenue generating opportunities and enhance funding for the other 31 athletic programs at Penn State. Some preliminary work has already been done. The major work will take place after each of the next 3 football seasons. So it's happening. All right. Hey, remember when Michigan State defensive tackle Derek Harmon left for Oregon? Certainly was a blow to Jonathan Smith. We talked yesterday. There's been some ebbs and flows, comings and goings with the transfer portal at Michigan State as he's trying to get a new program going there. So have you ever wondered what kind of name, image, and likeness deals that it takes to get a kid to transfer or to flip or to change his mind? I saw a CBS Sports report that they did. It broke down the nil averages by position. A defensive lineman like him, for example, the average get is between $250,000 and $600,000. Now, it's presumed that Harmon got high 6 figures, maybe even low 7 figures to go to Oregon. Remember, he originally said, no, I'm going to stay at East Lansing. And then he announced he was leaving. Common sense would tell you that a big offer, or maybe a bigger offer, came from Oregon people and got him to change his mind. So he is out, and that's the kind of money we're talking about here. Speaking of Ohio State, earlier on this podcast, we were talking about the Michigan-Ohio State game. You know, Ryan Day has a son. His name is RJ Day, and he's a pretty good quarterback in high school. He started as a high school freshman last year, and he's landed 2 offers already from Marshall and from Boston College. Bill O'Brien, right? Despite being in the class of 2027, which seems like forever from now, he just took visits to Clemson and South Carolina, and it seems a few more Power 5 visits will be in his future. Ryan Day addressed his son visiting other schools. He said RJ has already seen how things work at Ohio State. He's very familiar with all that, and he wanted his son to be exposed to other coaches like Dabo Swinney and Shane Beamer. By the way, Ryan Day has already extended offers to 7 players to the class of 2027. So it's not that far away. 3 of them are running backs, but he's not offered a quarterback scholarship. And that includes his son yet. I don't know if he'll offer his son. I don't know if his son is that good. Obviously, some schools are interested. You got to be the best of the best to get an offer from Ohio State. Boy, you run into that whole coach's son thing if you do bring him in. But we'll see. We'll see how that works out. We'll see if Ryan Day offers his own kid or if his own kid wants to even go there. We'll try and make his name somewhere else. Again, he's not till the class of 2027. But anytime we talk about recruiting here on Locked On Big Ten, it is always brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. These days, every new potential hire could feel like a high stakes wager for your small business. That's why LinkedIn Jobs helps find the right people for your team faster and for free. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Terms and conditions apply. And of course, the Big Ten baseball tournament is underway. Here we are on Wednesday, middle of the week. One last game to finish up the opening round, if you will, in Omaha, Nebraska. 3:00 Eastern time today here on Wednesday. It is number 4 seed Michigan taking on number 5 seed Iowa. All right. Hey, I don't know if you're like me. I got TVs on all the time during the day. A lot of times people kind of go watch ESPN, FS1. They got all those talking heads sports shows all day long. Frankly, I find them a little irritating. You got to turn down the volume a little bit. How about instead of doing that, just make the switch to Locked On Sports Today. Locked On Sports Today is a free 24/7 sports streaming channel program for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming and talking over each other and arguing and all that nonsense. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news streaming 24/7 on YouTube and the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right, we have middle of the week. As I've mentioned to you, a lot of new people joining us. I always tell you what we do in our third segment every day. We always have a blocked feature. It's the same every day. Like on Mondays, it's always our Big Ten top 10 observations. Tuesdays, it's always Tuesday tweets. Wednesday, we always do some sort of power rankings. And don't forget, tomorrow, Thursday, we'll have a look to Big Ten Network's weekend programming with their classics and live broadcast. And then we do some sort of pick 'em on Friday. So here we are, middle of the week, time for our power rankings. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to put together a power ranking, a list of Sports Illustrated has put out their win totals for all 18 Big Ten teams now as a group, because they've got the additions from the West Coast. So realignment, expansion, they're all in there. And plus, this is post spring football and post transfer portal. They've adjusted a few numbers. We looked at this many, many, many weeks ago. So we're going to update that. That's coming up, part of our power rankings in just 1 minute right here on Locked On Big Ten. All right, it's time for our power rankings. We'll take a look at that, and it's going to be win totals and how they rank and how they look 1 through 18 now with the addition of the new schools in the Big Ten. I'm going to put them on screen. If you're listening on audio only, I will describe them to you in detail. But here's the first 10. Here's our first block, if you will. And again, they go with the Ohio State and Oregon 1-2 at 10.5 wins. Look, Ohio State, this roster is absolutely loaded. They could win a national championship in addition to a Big Ten championship. And I think it all falls on Will Howard if he's the guy. I've told you time and time again, I'm not the biggest Will Howard fan. He only completes about 59 or 60% of his passes. I think you have to do better than that. So we'll see how the quarterback situation plays out at Ohio State. And of course, Oregon also right there at 10.5 wins. I think they're going to be fine at quarterback with Dylan Gabriel. And they have a loaded team. Maybe they could shore up the secondary a little bit, but the rest of their roster, this is a pretty complete roster at Oregon. And by the way, these two teams face each other in October. Meanwhile, Penn State coming in at number 3, and look at that. What else is new? Penn State 10 wins. They've been going 10-2 every single year. No Michigan this year on the schedule. This all comes down to Drew Aller. Can he play like he is supposed to play? I mean, a highly recruited quarterback seemed to go backwards last year, in my opinion, as the year went on. Don't forget, they lost his number 1 target in Keandre Lambert-Smith to the transfer portal. Michigan at number 4 with 9 wins. Look, I've told you before, because I know Michigan fans don't like to see that. And I've said Michigan will take a step back. They'll have to take a step back. Look, they're not winning 15 games this year. They're not going 12-0 into Big Ten. That doesn't mean they won't be great. That doesn't mean they can't make the college football playoffs. That doesn't mean they can't be in the Big Ten championship. But 12-0 for a regular season, I don't know. 11-1 is still great. 10-2 still gets you in the playoffs. And that's still a step back from, 12-0 and 15-0. So by saying to take a step back from perfection doesn't necessarily mean a down season. Meanwhile, Southern Cal coming in at number 5 with 7.5 wins this year, according to Sports Illustrated. And look, I'm as curious as anybody to see if Miller Moss can duplicate his 6-touchdown performance from the bowl game when he stepped in for the departing Caleb Williams. A lot of questions there. Lincoln Riley trying to shore up the defense. That may get him a win or two if he can keep some scores down. Nebraska, just as high at 7.5, as is Iowa. Nebraska, I'm not surprised by this, but you're relying a lot on a true freshman quarterback at Dylan Raiola. But he appears to be the real deal, and he's got a good team around him. That helps. If you're a Nebraska fan and you see them predicting you 7.5 wins, take it, because guess what? That means you're going bowling for the first time since what? 2017? Been a while, been a minute. Iowa at 7.5. This is a little high. I took a lot of heat last summer on this podcast when I suggested that Iowa could win like 9, 10, 11 games. People thought I was crazy. Well, they won 10 and they made it to the Big Ten championship. I don't feel as good about their win total this year. 7.5. I don't know. I don't have much confidence in the offense again, right? Unless that defense is spectacular. Don't forget Tim Lester, the new offensive coordinator. We'll see what he can do, but Sports Illustrated calling it at 7.5 wins for Iowa. Washington coming in at 7, and they've replaced their entire team. 20 of their 22 starters are brand new. Jed Fish coming in. They have road games at Penn State and Oregon. It's a tough schedule. Michigan coming to their place, though, in October. Maryland at 6.5 wins. No Talia Tagovailoa this year. I don't know what to make of Maryland. That seems about right, maybe. At number 10, Wisconsin, also 6.5 wins. Luke Fickell's second year. They've got a home date against Alabama this year. Elsewhere, this is, again, Sports Illustrated's win totals for the newly expanded Big Ten. They've got Rutgers at 11 with 6 wins. Seems about right. They won 6 games last year, got a 7th win by winning the bowl game and beating Miami in the Pinstripe Bowl at Yankee Stadium. See if they'll be steady. New quarterback and Ethan Kaliakmanis, the transfer from Minnesota. Indiana at 5.5 wins. In fact, Indiana, Illinois, and UCLA all with 5.5 wins. The projection, Kurt Cignetti, the new head coach at Indiana from James Madison, brought like 14 James Madison players with him who understand the system. We'll see if they are good enough to play at the next level in the Big Ten. Illinois, 5.5. Poor defense, cost them a lot of shootouts, a lot of last-second games. They lost some of those too last year. They could go either way with Brett Bielema. And UCLA, I don't know. This seems a little high at 5.5. They got Deshaun Foster, brand new coach, taking over for Chip Kelly. I have the feeling that UCLA is starting from ground zero. So I don't know about the 5.5. And Minnesota at 5 wins, 15th on this list. They had 6 wins last year. So PJ Fleck going backward. Question marks at quarterback this year. I don't know. PJ Fleck won a lot of games up until like last year. So we'll see what direction they go. Jonathan Smith and Michigan State at number 16 at 5 wins. That seems about right. This feels like about a 2-year rebuild before we'll see some results, maybe. Northwestern at 4.5 wins. That's a massive drop from their 8 wins last year. David Braun in his first full season. Remember, he was the interim coach to start the season last year after the hazing scandal, then got the head coaching job because, heck, he won 8 games and went bowling, and everything was great at Northwestern. I guess Sports Illustrated doesn't think he can do it again. And then at the bottom, Purdue, just 4 wins this year. You know, Ryan Walters took over a team that won 8 games before he got there. Walters comes in, defensive coordinator at Illinois, gets the Purdue job last year. They only won 4 games, and it looks like that's good. Their schedule's pretty tough. I got to admit it. So 4 wins for Purdue. That's the prediction. So there you have it. The newly expanded, realigned Big Ten, and all 18 teams. We are post-spring football. We are post most of the transfer portal, and that's our list. But Ohio State and Oregon leading the way at 10.5 wins each. So that's what they say. What do you say? Always love to hear from you guys. You can always hit me up many ways. You can interact with me on Twitter at TalkBig10, number 10. Don't forget our website, talkbig10number10.com, and comments on YouTube. Love to hear from you. And again, love to have the Michigan-Ohio State thing going back and forth today. And if you're new, please, before you go, 2 things. Subscribe. Just click the button. There's no other information required, and it's free. And then we're together forever. And I invite you to watch another episode of Locked On Big Ten. Check another one out right after this. Go get yesterday's episode in case you missed it, perhaps. It's right there. And be sure to subscribe and follow this podcast right now on your favorite podcast app, and you'll get the latest episode of Locked On Big Ten as soon as it's available each and every day. And when you're done watching a couple episodes, don't forget our friends at Locked On Sports Today, 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On from our national shows covering every single league, every team. It is right there. All right, lots going on, man, as we get closer and closer to the start of the season, inside 100 days. We're very excited about football. We're always excited about football here at Locked On Big Ten. We'll keep an eye on everything going on in the portal, any news on the bigger, broad pictures, expansion, anything that we got, transfer portal stuff. We always keep an eye on it for you here. So thanks for joining us. I enjoyed our visit as always, and I can't wait till we meet again tomorrow for Locked On Big Ten. I'm Craig Sheeman. We'll see you next time.